Welcome back to the Piston Show. I'm Keshi Dillon and I'll be the host for this video. Depression is a very real thing. So is anxiety and so is boredom. And I think that a lot of people suffer from these things today and there's no doubt about it. But there's a solution. Well, I'm not trying to undermine these conditions. If you're going through such of anything of sorts, then I really think that you should seek out professional help or call your friends and speak to them, or maybe even ask us out for a drive or a ride. We're friends, right? And what I'm trying to say over here is that there's solution to things like boredom, to things like having fun in life, to things like anxiety and such. And that solution is motorcycles. A motorcycle like the Triumph Scrambler 400X. This is an amazing, very naughty machine, and it'll make you do things that you never knew you could do. I have a lot of fun things to say about this bike, and I think that if you're looking to spice up your life, then this might be the solution. However, as usual, a quick word from our sponsor. I'll be back in 60 seconds.
Whether you ride for fun or for work, untoward incidents are bound to happen. That is why it is very important to have an insurance partner that takes care of you and your beloved motorcycle. I choose Berjaya Sompo Insurance because it gives me and my motorcycle everything that I need, including maintenance tips and comprehensive insurance coverage. I get complimentary personal accident coverage worth 5,000 ringgit, and Berjaya Sompo Insurance also covers my motorcycle for the agreed value of the sum insured. But to top it all off, I get complimentary 24/7 towing services of up to 100 kilometers with comprehensive coverage, so I know my bike will never be left stranded. On top of that, my insurance covers all riders, so I know my friends and family are covered when they ride my bike as well. With Berjaya Sompo Motorcycle Insurance and it's the Good Riders Initiative, which is a testament to the company's continuous commitment to promoting rider safety, I know I'm always taken care of.
So we first were introduced to the Triumph Scrambler series by none other than James Bond. That Scrambler that he was riding looked really good, didn't it? And the Scrambler 400X, well, it's priced at just under 30,000 ringgit, and it is actually designed to make the Scrambler series more accessible in terms of pricing. And not only that, it carries on the character of the Triumph Scrambler series. It's actually a very fun bike to ride, and it might just be a 400cc motorcycle, but boy, it's not about the displacement, it's about how it delivers all that power. Up front, you get Metzeler Karoo tires. They might look like they're off-road biased, but they actually do decently well on the street as well, and in wet conditions. So the front wheel is kept in check by a 320mm disc grabbed by bi-brake calipers. You also get ABS up front, so that's that safety aspect of it. Further behind, you get a 43mm upside down fork with 150mm of wheel travel. This suspension is more on the softer side of things, which is not a bad thing. It's actually quite comfortable on the road. These are not adjustable. In fact, the only level of adjustments that you get as far as the suspension is concerned is the preload at the back. And then up front here, I really like this grille around the headlights. It gives it a very classic look. You look at this bike and you're like, wow, what is that? That looks really cool. Yes, it's that kind of effect that it has. And then further up here, you get a part digital, part analog dash over here. So the analog part is the speedometer part, whereas the digital part gives you all the other essential readings, such as your fuel consumption, your fuel gauge, etc., etc. The handlebar is slightly raised, and this gives it a very traditional Scrambler slash supermoto kind of sitting position. Very, very nice. I actually really like it. And then further back here, you get a 13-liter fuel tank. It costed me about, how much was it? About 15 ringgit to refuel it, because they basically handed me a bike with an empty tank, so about 14-15 ringgit to refuel it. Nothing wrong with an empty tank. In these dark days where fuel subsidies are being slashed, and you would want a bike that is cheaper to refuel, that is fuel efficient and such. Triumph says that this bike just needs 3.5 liters to travel 100 kilometers. So if our dear government, who seems to be making some rather erratic decisions these days, if they were to remove fuel subsidies and float them, so RON 95 is expected to cost somewhere about the 3 ringgit 20 cents region. That would roughly mean that it will cost you about 10 ringgit to travel 100 kilometers. Acceptable for a motorcycle. And then further down here, you get a 400cc engine that puts out 40 PS and 37.5 Newton meters of torque. Decent, because this bike weighs just about 175 kilograms wet. It's actually quite a light bike, and you really feel that once you get going. I'll talk about the riding dynamics and how it feels a little bit later. And now though, the way that the engine delivers its power is actually fun. It's a very punchy engine, and it makes most of its power on the upper end of the rev band, somewhere about beyond 3,000 to 4,000 RPM. So you really got to ring this out. Not a bad thing. However, I do wish that it came with a quick shifter, because that would just make this bike feel so much naughtier. It's a 6-speed transmission, nothing new here, but it does come with a slipper clutch, so you can bang down the gears, and if you're gentle or if you're careful, the rear wheel will not lock. Not a bad thing. The exhaust sounds good right off the bat. Seriously, sounds good. Let's hear this. But this is a Scrambler, and Triumph, actually, when you think about a Triumph Scrambler, you think about the exhausts being at the side here and such. And I'm sure that there are aftermarket exhausts that allow you to place your exhaust further here and make it sound better. Think of it as a blank canvas. This is just waiting to be customized. Further back, well, you get a suspension that is, as I said earlier, that is adjustable for preload. The swing arm is made out of cast aluminium, and I got no complaints. I got nothing bad to say about the bike. It looks good, it feels good, and everything that Triumph has accessorized it with right out of the factory feels like it's there for a very good purpose. Now we talk about how the bike feels when you're riding it. Hey guys, what are some of the things that you consider when choosing a petrol brand? For me, I make sure that the petrol can keep my engine clean and also give me better mileage. I'm sure everybody thinks about this when choosing a particular brand. With BH Petrol's Infinity RON 95 04M, you get precisely that. It has special German additives that reduces the amount of deposits that build up in your engine over the long term, keeping it clean. It also has improved friction modifiers that reduces the amount of friction that your engine has to go through, ultimately giving you better mileage and making BH Petrol's Infinity RON 95 04M the right choice. Before I jump on, I would just like to take a moment to acknowledge that these seats, these ribbed twin seats over here, look really good, don't they? They just look like something really special. And as soon as you get here, the seat is located it's placed about 830 millimeters off the ground, and I'm about 6 feet tall, so I can get quite comfortable. But if you're on the shorter side, this bike might be a little bit tall for you. It is a Scrambler anyway, but the good thing is Triumph does have the Speed 400, which is more road biased, and that is a little bit smaller. And even though the Scrambler 400X shares a lot of components and such with the Speed 400, such as the engine, some of the buttons and such, things like the suspension, the frame and such are completely unique to the Scrambler. So that's one thing that you need to get clear right when you're buying a Triumph 400 series. I suggest that you ride both the Speed and the Scrambler back to back, because each has very different dynamics. The Speed 400 is a very nice bike as well, there's no doubt about it. So okay, how does the bike feel like to ride? As I said earlier, it makes you do some very naughty things, and it's very difficult to take things slow with the Triumph Scrambler at least. And the tires, even though they're off-road biased, knobby tires and such, but they feel very grippy on the road. I mean, of course, you have grippier tires, but the knobby tires just adds to the Scrambler character. And then besides that, the brakes though, even though they're grabbed by basically what is the entry-level series to Brembo brakes, they're called bi-brake, I feel that they need a little bit more bite. They don't have as much stopping power as I would have liked, even though in terms of safety, both you get front and rear ABS, which is brilliant, but I would have liked a little bit more bite, because as the character of the engine, you need to really rev the engine, and by the time you're ringing out the engine, if you need to come to an immediate stop, from, for example, stoplight to stoplight or corner to corner, the brakes tend to catch you off guard, because it does not have as much bite as I think the bike deserves. So take a moment to understand the braking system of this bike if you are going to be jumping on the Scrambler 400X. I think even the brake lever has a little bit too much travel for my liking before the biting point. So that's one thing that you should take notice. Besides that, the sitting position is just ideal. It's very Scrambler-like. I'm very comfortable. I could actually tour on this bike as well. I imagine that doing about 200 to 300 kilometers in a day shouldn't be a problem. A fly screen would make it better, no doubt. These mirrors, swap them out for bar end mirrors. Kind of look very... I got nothing nice to say about the mirrors. Just swap them out. And then besides that, the sitting position, I was talking about, the sitting position is just pinpoint perfect. Positioning your body on this bike as you tackle corners after corners is really easy to manage. I also like the way the bike feels in traffic. It feels very light, it feels very maneuverable. Even though you're getting 19-inch wheels up front, it feels okay. Even though the front sometimes tend to feel a little bit on the heavier side, which is, the typical character of a 19-inch wheel. Besides how the front end feels sometimes, I think it's just perfect. If you're looking for a city bike or something to, have some fun with on the weekends, the Triumph Scrambler 400X, I think, offers quite a bit for just 30,000 ringgit. The way it handles, the way it delivers its power, the way it just feels right out of the package, I think that if you're just looking to spice up your life, if you're looking for a fun toy that won't break the bank or won't make your wife leave you, this is actually not a bad bike. So should you spend your hard-earned 30,000 ringgit on a Triumph Scrambler 400X? Well, I know there are a lot of other bikes that are vying for your 30,000 ringgit, especially from China. Well, as I've said in all my motorcycle reviews, I'm not really a fan of bikes from China. Except for the likes of CF Moto, which deserve credit because they actually do their own engineering and design work and such, rather than copy and pasting. But I like a bike from a well-known brand that invests into its company, invests into R&D, invests into engineering, invests into giving you the biker, the person who actually spends your hard-earned money on your company, something worthy of your money. And the Triumph Scrambler 400X series, or rather the Triumph Scrambler series, has proper pedigree. It goes back to the 70s, I can't remember the name of the model, but I know it goes back to the 70s. And it has been there through generations. Even the Triumph Scrambler 900 is such a good looking machine, and this is basically from the same family lineage. And that is why I think that if you're going to be spending 30,000 ringgit, spend it on a proper company rather than a fly-by-night company where you don't even know where to take the bike for servicing, or whether they're still going to be there at the end of the decade. You can be sure that a brand like Triumph, it's been there for decades and decades and decades, that it's going to be here perhaps well past our sell-by date. And that's what I think, and perhaps that's why I think that if you're going to be spending 30,000 ringgit, you should spend it on a well-known brand, on a proper motorcycle like the Triumph Scrambler 400X. So yes, you should spend your 30,000 ringgit on the Triumph Scrambler 400X if you're in the market for a bike like this. If you want a touring, well, then I suggest that you look at the Suzuki V-Strom or something, which is also a very nice bike, but for a different purpose. The Scrambler 400X though, it'll just put a smile on your face day in, day out. It's an amazing machine. However, I do wish that it came with spoke wheels rather than these, sports wheels. It's just, I think it would have added to the character of the Scrambler a little bit better. But that's what the aftermarket and customization is for. Triumph Scrambler 400X, friends, an awesome machine, a very naughty bike, and I've said twice in this video already, makes you do stuff that you never knew you could do. Thank you for watching. Do consider subscribing.